We're here today to talk about extra virgin olive oil, more specifically, high quality extra virgin olive oil. I'm joined here by my dad, Alessandro, and my dad is an olive oil sommelier and is an accredited olive oil taster. He's also a producer of olive oil. Here at Pasto della Palomba, we make a variety of mono-cultivar and blend olive oils. And we're going to be discussing today about the quality of olive oil, but most importantly, how do we make sure that when we go to the supermarket and there is a huge aisle full of different olive oils, how do we make sure we buy the right one? So, Dad, tell me, let's just start from the basics. What is olive oil?
Well, let's try to make it simple. Olive oil is a vegetable oil. In a bottle of olive oil like this one, which is 1 liter, 99% of this liquid is made of 3 fats. The first one is saturated fat, which is not good for the health. So there should not be much saturated fat. The other 2 fats are monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fats. Both of them are extremely good for the health. So if you want a reasonably good oil, you should not have much saturated fat and quite an amount of monounsaturated and unsaturated oil.
That's a very good point. We read everywhere that olive oil is excellent for the health. But how do we know that what we're buying is one with the right kind of fats?
Okay. Well, as I was saying, 99% is made of fat. So somebody may say, okay, but what is the remainder 1% or 2%? The remainder 1% or 2% is what really makes the difference. Basically, it is made of more than 120 components, which altogether they're called polyphenols. Polyphenols are extremely good for the health, and they basically help our body to purify itself and to protect against oxidating agents. The point is that very often, most often, this 1%, 2%, this small amount, is simply not present in the bottle.
When we go to the supermarket and we read extra virgin olive oil, is that a branding that ensures us that we're getting the olive oil with the polyphenols that we really want to consume?
In reality, no. Extra virgin olive oil is generally a classification which is not very stringent. So most oils actually satisfy the limits of extra virgin olive oil. In reality, if you wanted to buy a good extra virgin olive oil, you should either taste it or smell it, because these 1% of polyphenols, they do have a smell and a taste, and this is really what makes the extra virgin olive oil different.
Clearly, in the supermarket, they would look at me very strangely if I started opening them up and giving everything a bit of a smell. So, assuming I haven't found my olive oil yet, so I don't have a specific brand I'm buying, what are the tricks looking at the bottle, looking at the label, that allow me to make the right choice?
Well, first of all, obviously reading the labels and understanding what is written on the label is extremely important. The first thing to look at is where the oil is coming from. In this case, for instance, we have originated from European community. This is quite a generic definition and clearly represents the fact that this is a blend of oils coming from different countries. This actually, it's something which not necessarily, in my opinion, guarantee high quality, because these oils can come, yes, European community, but most often also European community have agreements with North Africa producers, so you exactly don't know what kind of oils are contained in this bottle. The other thing which is important to check is also the definition of extra virgin. Extra virgin means that this is not an oil that has been encountering chemical components, let's put it this way. It's an oil which has been just pressed and put in the bottle. If you don't have extra virgin olive oil, you may have virgin olive oil, which still are oils that don't have encountered chemicals. Or you may have oils which are not virgin, and in that case you should really worry, because these are oils which have encountered chemical treatments. So olive oil without virgin is certainly much lower quality than extra virgin and virgin.
I think it's quite important when you mention the provenance of the olives, because I know here at Pasto della Palomba, we pick up the olives, we put it in a bucket, and then within a few hours we mill it. And when you put your hands inside the bucket, even though it's only been maybe 2 hours, you're beginning to feel the warmth, you're beginning to feel a little bit of moisture in it. So I can only assume that if these olives are coming across the Mediterranean in this case, the containers will get very hot, you will get fermentation, you will get all these things that will ruin the olives as it transits.
Certainly, olive oils doesn't age well like wine. Any olive oil actually goes through a degradation process, which is accelerated by oxygen, heat, and light. So certainly, what you say is right. The more you move olive oil around, and the more prone to damage this oil is. Furthermore, when you buy this oil, which are blends of oils, you never know how old this oil is. And this is another thing which is very important, because if an oil degrades in time, you want to know, when it was produced. So another thing which you should basically check when you buy a bottle of olive oil is this best before or expiry date. Every bottle should have an expiry date. In this case, actually, it's the 12th of February 2021.
So we bought this bottle today.
We bought it today. So it's an oil which has a few months theoretical life available. Most likely was an oil which was produced by blends of other oils, which most likely was produced, we don't know exactly when. The golden rule is just to make it very simple, if you cannot taste it in the shop, bear in mind that now more and more there are places where you can taste your oil, and you can basically do what I will tell you in a few minutes to check whether it's a good quality olive oil, if polyphenols are there. But in case you have to rely only on the labels, in my opinion, you should make sure that there is a country of origin. Country of origin is extremely important. I'm not saying that it should be Italian, it could be Spain, it could be Greece, but when you already see that there is an origin, it's already better, much better. And the other thing, expiry dates. If you have a country of origin, and if it's not a blend of oils, you should have also another data, which is not here, which is basically season of pressing, like you have here. So this is season 2019. This is when you find that there is it's an oil which has been produced from Italian olives, and you have also the indication that it has been pressed in 2019, you know that you're dealing with a relatively newly produced oil.
That's very interesting. So I guess the taking away points are: make sure it comes from one specific country. Let's make sure that we have the harvest year.
Better if you can find the year of production. So that there is not much commitment in this one. When you have an oil instead which declares the origin, when it was produced, and the expiry date, it's a commitment which is very, very specific. It's very, very difficult to buy from the label. So I go back to the point of finding a way of tasting your oil. Even if you cannot taste it at the supermarket, you will taste it at home. So in my opinion, learning how to taste an olive oil is really the ticket for a pleasant journey in extra virgin olive oil.
So let's assume you go to the supermarket, you've bought an olive oil which it's, say, from Italy. You know that the harvest has been 2019, so you know it's new. And you go home and you taste it. You're not an olive oil sommelier, so how do you go about it?
Well, according to my experience, we have been running many tasting experience and tutorials. It's very, very easy to learn. It's very, very easy to learn what is better from what is not very nice. The tasting process is very easy. First thing, you need to look, maybe you can put your oil in a small glass, transparent glass, and you can look at the color. The color is not that important because it's very easy for anybody, for the industry to change the color. But what is important is that the oil is not too dense. Because if the oil is dense, it means there is a lot of saturated oil or a lot of non-filtered elements in the oil. Filtration is very important
I wanted to go back to the filtration point because I think the industry has made a lot of marketing ploy to say that unfiltered cold press is the way to go. The unfiltered is really a gimmick, isn't it?
Filtration is extremely important because any oil which is not filtered contains particles in suspension of various kinds, from gums to colloidal parts, pieces of wood, which will trigger degradation and oxidation. So the sooner you remove those, and the better it is, and the more sure you can be that this oil will last longer.
And we know well why people are reluctant to do it, because in the filtration
It's very expensive.
it's expensive and you lose a lot of
You
the
lose a lot
product.
of product. Nonetheless, you have a nice, transparent product which certainly lasts much longer than others. So, first point is observation, and you want a fluid, nice, transparent olive oil. The second step is basically the smelling. There is a technique to smell which we cannot teach in this interview, but certainly if you put this glass to your nose, you should immediately have a feeling of freshness, the smell of grass, smell of vegetables, fresh vegetables, not boiled vegetables, or sometimes smell of fruit, sometimes even smell of almonds, sometimes smell of artichoke. So can be very complex depending on the cultivar, which is the variety of olives which have been used. So if when you put the glass to your nose, you feel that there is a nice aroma, I think you are on the right way. The aroma is given by the polyphenols. The three fat components I was describing before, they have no smell. If they do have a smell, it's a bad smell. So if there is a bad smell, you can already say it's not an extra virgin. The law says that any oil which has a bad smell cannot be an extra virgin. So if you go on the supermarket, open a bottle and smell it, very often you can really seriously doubt whether this can be classified as an extra virgin.
Going to your first point about the observation, which is something which I thought was quite interesting when I learned it. I remember being a young guy wanting to start buying high quality olive oil and wanting to spend a little bit more in the supermarket. One thing which was quite striking is to have these olive oils which were bright green, and I just assumed that a green olive oil was a fresh, tasty olive oil. But green can be doctored to some extent, right?
Well, the color, as I said, can be easily massaged. You know, it's easy to make an olive oil green using even not negative substances. But the law says that an extra virgin olive oil should not have any addition of any sort. So the golden rule is that don't rely too much on the color. Rely on the density, rely on the transparency, rely on the smell. And then you have the third step, which is the tasting. Tasting means not with the bruschetta, not with the bread. You know, the bread and bruschetta, they come with their own flavor. So you not necessarily taste the oil. You taste already an application of the oil. Let's put it this way. So you should make an effort to put a sip of oil in your mouth. So for people who are not accustomed to this, it may sound a little bit strange, but if the oil is good, it's a very nice experience. So you will put it in your mouth. You will strip a little bit. There is a stripping technique which is basically like this.
That's what a professional does.
This helps to free the polyphenols, and you have the ability to smell from the back of your nose the smell that you have smelled in the smelling experience, and then you swallow it slowly. And if it's a good olive oil, it should be a little bit bitter and a little bit spicy, pungent. So spiciness and pungentness are never bad characteristics for an olive oil, if they are obviously genuine.
What are cultivars?
The quick answer is yes, you can cook with extra virgin olive oil. Yes, you can also fry with extra virgin olive oil.
So when I buy my bottle of olive oil and I want to make sure that I'm storing it correctly so that I'm keeping all the goodness in it, what are the basic principles?